months ago who slaughtered an Iranian refugee on the train for no reason at all. Now I don't know if he's under that was it MK Ultra or anything like that. That is crazy. But anyway, this is update story of this guy that slaughtered this lady for no reason. Got on the bus and just went for no reason. But this guy had mental issues. They said he suffered from bipolar syndrome, all types of stuff he was suffering from, but nobody came to his aid. And not only that, he was in. They had arrested him before on multiple charges, and they let him go. So they know that he was dealing with a person that was unstable and wasn't ready for society. But for some reason, they locked him up and put him right back out in society to do something unthinkable. And he had issues going on with him now. But anyway, this is an update from this man. This is in Charlotte, North Carolina, where this man took this lady's life for apparent no reason at all. When I say no reason at all, no reason, but it's an update, which we're going to get ready to get into right now. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this whole situation. Because nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody deserved what this woman got out of nowhere. She's getting off from work, minding her business, and this guy just went haywire. But anyway, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And that's real talk.
On Charlotte's light rail last month being put into handcuffs. This new chilling video is one of nearly a dozen new clips now in the hands of WBTV. Thanks for joining us for your news here at 6. I'm Siobhan Bryant.
And I'm John Carter. Tonight we're able to better piece together the before and after of that brutal attack that killed 23-year-old Irina Zarutska.
Investigative reporter David Hodges was the first to request this video as he digs deeper into cat security.
That's when he first get on here to get on the bus to head there. He didn't even pay to get on the bus or nothing.
New video angles just released from the Charlotte Transit security cameras, and they show us so much, including the moment when DeCarlos Brown first boards a bus and takes that uptown to transfer to the light rail. We also have angles showing us where he leaves the light rail right after cameras caught him stabbing Irina Zarutska. And then strikingly, in this video, we see DeCarlos Brown get detained and swarmed by officers just minutes after that fatal stabbing.
He boarded the bus, didn't pay or nothing.
August 22nd, and DeCarlos Brown Jr. boards a CATS bus on Statesville Avenue. It's more than 2 hours before the moment Irina Zarutska takes her seat in front of Brown on the light rail. As he steps on the bus, Brown doesn't stop to pay a fare or show a pass like other riders appear to. For more than 10 minutes, Brown sits still and silent. At 7:48, he appears to laugh and yawn, similar to his actions on the light rail an hour later. Video that was first seen on WBTV just last week. We also now have video of Brown following the fatal stabbing. Cameras at the East Boulevard station capture him slowly exiting the light rail. Brown never runs or hurries. He slowly walks around the area. Some people pass him oblivious to what just happened. Others appear to run away after seeing him. Eventually, people start to stay away from Brown and appear to stare in his direction. After he crosses the tracks, Brown rummages through his hoodie and appears to take out something similar to a cigarette. He moves it toward his mouth twice and steps toward the coming police presence. CMPD officers swarm Brown, who doesn't appear to resist in any way. Officers search him, his clothes, and the area right next to the CATS rail car where Irina Zarutska lost her life.
But we're still digging deeper into this video because we don't believe we have all of it. Here's DeCarlos Brown Jr. leaving the bus and at the Charlotte Transit Center. This is the last video we have of him there. Then, you don't have to fast forward very long, but it is about 15 minutes before we see him again at the Charlotte Transit Center Arena train stop. That's about 15 minutes worth of footage we don't have of him at the transit center. We're asking CATS why we don't have it so we can keep digging deeper into this important story. Reporting in the studio, David Hodges, WBTV, on yours.
I want to go back a little bit more. This guy had multiple charges. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, for how this guy just went on his people, and then nobody even, they just didn't stop him. You know what I mean? He just did what he did. They would check him out right. This girl suffered. I mean, she actually was like, "Oh, what the hell is where this come from?" out of nowhere.
Everyone has seen the viral video of the tragic stabbing of Irina Zarutska, but let me tell you the top
It's
6
crazy. Hey,
reasons
look, and
I
she
would have
just
never
sitting
sat
there.
down right there in the first place.
She's just sitting there. She don't know what to do. Look at
Everyone
all
has
them
seen the
people ain't
viral
say
video
nothing.
of the tragic stabbing
Nobody
of Irina
try to
Zarutska,
help it.
but
Ain't
let
the
me tell you
sisters,
the
girl,
top
ain't
6
young lady, or
reasons
nothing.
I would have never sat down right there in the first place. Everyone has seen the viral video of the tragic stabbing of...
Did you hear about the robbery?
Yeah, I wanna, go
Only
back here.
watch this if you're
I wanna go back real quick so y'all can see how fearful this lady was, man. Here she go right here. I'm going to true crimes real quick. Actually, when he stabbed, she was surprised, like, no, what I do to you? I mean, this man, for no reason, I think she was shanked in the top of her upper body and
This
her neck
footage
and
of a
everything.
girl sobbing to death and no one even coming to her aid has been trending, and people cannot stop talking about how no one came to her aid.
Nobody.
This young woman, Irina, boarded the Lynx Blue Line train in Charlotte, North Carolina. She had just finished her shift and wanted to get home. She sat down, unaware that behind her was a man who will kill her in exactly 4 minutes. Security cameras captured everything.
Wow.
The entire brutal attack that would shock America, spark national political debate, and expose the failures of a broken system. The victim was 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee who had fled war only to be murdered on American public transport by a complete stranger with a history of violence that authorities had ignored for years.
Wow.
Irina Zarutska was living the American dream that millions of refugees can only hope for. After fleeing the war in Ukraine, the 23-year-old had found safety in Charlotte, North Carolina. She was known in her neighborhood for walking dogs with her radiant smile, always greeting neighbors warmly. She dreamed of pursuing a career as a veterinary assistant. Irina had built a quiet, peaceful life in South End Charlotte. She worked hard, kept to herself, and was slowly rebuilding after the trauma of leaving everything behind in Ukraine. Friends and neighbors described her as kind, gentle, and optimistic about her future in America. On the evening of August 22nd, 2024,
Listen.
Irina was doing what thousands of people do every day, taking public transport home after work. The Lynx Blue Line was her usual route, a light rail system that Charlotte promoted as safe and reliable. At 9:46 p.m., surveillance cameras show Irina boarding the train at the South End station. She finds a seat and settles in for what should have been a routine 15-minute ride home. But sitting just behind her was DeCarlos Brown, a 25-year-old man with a violent criminal history that stretched back years. Brown had convictions for armed robbery, felony larceny, and breaking and entering. He had spent more than 5 years behind bars for robbery with a dangerous weapon. At 9:50 p.m., just 4 minutes after Irina boarded, Brown attacked. The video shows him suddenly lunging forward and brutally stabbing the young woman multiple times. Irina never saw it coming. She had no chance to defend herself, no opportunity to run. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong or a dispute that escalated. This was a random, unprovoked attack by a stranger who decided to kill someone for no reason at all. Other passengers watched in horror as Brown continued his assault. The attack was swift, vicious, and deadly. Within seconds, Irina Zarutska was dying on the floor of a public train, another victim of senseless violence. After stabbing Irina, DeCarlos Brown didn't try to run or hide what he had done. The video shows Brown walking through the rail car, taking off his sweatshirt and waiting by the doors as passengers look on. His behavior was chilling in its casualness. He had just committed murder and seemed completely unbothered by it. When police arrived at the scene, Brown was still on the train. He didn't resist arrest or try to claim self-defense. He was taken into custody without incident, as if killing a stranger was just another ordinary Tuesday night for him. But as investigators dug into Brown's background, they discovered this attack wasn't as random as it first appeared. It was the inevitable result of a system that had failed catastrophically. This wasn't Brown's first violent crime. He had terrorized Charlotte for years, cycling in and out of the justice system without ever receiving the long-term incarceration or mental health treatment he clearly needed. Court records show a pattern of escalating violence. Multiple armed robberies where he threatened victims with weapons. Breaking and entering charges where he invaded people's homes. Felony larceny that showed a complete disregard for others' property. A robbery with a dangerous weapon that should have kept him locked up for decades. Yet somehow, Brown was free to board that train on August 22nd, free to sit behind an innocent young woman, free to decide that her life meant nothing. The most disturbing detail emerged from jailhouse phone calls after his arrest.
Listen,
Brown claims government mind control materials made him stab the 23-year-old
MK
Ukrainian
Ultra.
refugee in recorded jailhouse phone call. He blamed brain implants and government mind control for his actions,
Wow.
showing a complete disconnect.
that's something to think about. That's MK Ultra and things like that. They was doing studies on them, and who to do not to say that it's not the truth. People have been talking about this forever, but we get back into it.
Reality and responsibility. This wasn't mental illness, this was a violent predator making excuses for his choice to kill an innocent person. The murder of Irina Zarutska exposed the ugly truth about crime and public safety in American cities. This wasn't a crime of passion or a robbery gone wrong. This was the predictable result of a broken system that prioritizes the rights of violent criminals over the safety of innocent people. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called the fatal stabbing of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska in Charlotte a preventable tragedy. The federal government's assessment was blunt. This murder should never have happened.
No.
DeCarlos Brown should have been in prison on August 22nd. His history of armed robbery and violent crime warranted a lengthy sentence that would have kept him off the streets. Instead, he was free to hunt for victims on public transportation. The surveillance video that captured Irina's murder quickly went viral on social media, sparking national outrage and political debate. The case has turned into a flashpoint as the Trump administration vows to crack down on crime in large, predominantly Democratic cities. President Donald Trump is using the killing of Irina Zarutska to highlight the need for his crime agenda. The case became a symbol of everything wrong with America's approach to violent crime: too much sympathy for criminals, not enough protection for victims. But political debates couldn't bring Irina back or comfort her family still grieving in war-torn Ukraine. The Charlotte Area Transit System, CATSA, was forced to confront the reality that their light rail system wasn't safe. CATS announced new safety operations including bike units and urban terrain patrols, measures that came too late for Irina. Charlotte's mayor faced intense criticism for comments that seemed to downplay the severity of the attack. Citizens demanded to know how the city had allowed such a dangerous individual to remain free on their streets. The case also highlighted the vulnerability of refugees and immigrants who come to America seeking safety, only to become victims of the very violence they fled. The Justice Department charged DeCarlos Brown with a federal crime that could carry the death penalty. Federal prosecutors took over the case, recognizing that this wasn't just a local crime. It was an attack on the safety of America's public transportation system. Brown was charged with murder in the first degree in North Carolina State Court and committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system in federal court. He now faces the possibility of execution for his crimes. Brown's legal team will likely argue mental illness, pointing to his bizarre claims about government mind control. But prosecutors have made it clear they view this as a calculated act of violence by a career criminal who chose to kill an innocent person. The case moves forward as Irina's family in Ukraine struggles to understand how their daughter could survive a war zone only to be murdered by a stranger on American public transportation. Irina Zarutska came to America seeking safety and opportunity. She found work, made friends, and was building a new life in Charlotte. She represented the best of the American dream, someone willing to work hard and contribute to her community. But America failed.
Then the question is now, for everybody that's in here, the question is, do you think that he deserved the death penalty? That's the whole question right there. Do you think he deserved to get the death penalty? That's the whole thing. Do you think that he deserved the death penalty, or you think he did deserve this, to use his alibi is what he's saying? And nobody helped at all, and that's real talk. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and tell me what you think on this situation. It's a hard thing to do, but like I said, they said mental health is real, right? His mental health is so real like this. Hey, he definitely got some real issues for somebody to go like he is. They got a mirror and everything over there.
4 months since the murder of Irina Zarutska on Charlotte's light rail,
Listen.
that local story turned national and has prompted multiple changes since then, including a new state law dubbed Irina's Law. Well, now months later, tribute murals of the 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee have begun to pop up across the United States, and more are in the works. The picture you're seeing here, this is from Washington, D.C., Miami, Florida, and Venice, California, all hand-painted to honor an innocent life. Tech CEO Graham McCabe is leading the charge. McCabe had originally offered $500,000 to have the murals painted in prominent U.S. cities. Elon Musk also contributed an additional $1 million to support the mural project.
Wow.
Ben Keller, the artist who painted the mural in Washington, tells WBTV there are plans in the works for a new mural of Irina right here in Charlotte. That project is expected to start within a month. We'll keep you posted on that. Meanwhile,
Man, make that make sense. You see how they, so many, I hate to say it, so many other black girls been deleted by senseless things out here, but then nobody never did no mirror for them. All of a sudden she get a mirror. Make it make sense, people. We gotta definitely keep it 100. Make it make sense. She get a mirror. Really? And that's real talk.